9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Freethought in Florida. Freethought in Florida is a production of the atheist community of Polk County. I'm Sarah Ray. I'll be your host for the roast tonight, for the journey. Joining me tonight, Allie Ashmead. Allie, how are you?
What's up? I'm good. What's up?
What a week it's been, huh?
Indeed.
We just both had the storm just rolled through here, and I think has just reached you. So if either of us disappears, it's Florida in summer, and this is it storms all the time.
Yep, every day.
So if we disappear, that's probably why. Hey, this is Friday, the 25th of June, 2021. We want to make sure to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/polkatheists. You can be like those wonderful folks: Julian, Conrad, Devin, Virgil's Cardboard Box, Todd, Freethinker215, and Alice. That helps us do a lot here on the show. We've talked before. There are some. Sorry for the dog barking. People are nuts out there. There's some hardware components that we need to be updating here in the near future, and so that's the sort of thing that your patronage goes to, and doing a little Facebook advertising, social media advertising, trying to get the word out there. And I don't have a drum roll queued up, but I'll throw it in post. We have a new patron to welcome. There you go. We have a new patron to welcome, Alan. Alan came in at the demonic deacon level. So thank you, Alan, for joining the Patreon family. And again, if you want to be like all of those fine people, we often will chit-chat after the show, off the air, and about all kinds of crazy things, and post that up for the patrons to listen to. So you get some freebies, little extras, and that sort of thing, and you get the joy of knowing that you're helping fight back here in the state in the state that is eternally locked in battle with Texas for the 50th place. And of course, if you can't do that, we get it. Times are tough. COVID has taken its toll on a lot of people. There are other ways you can help us out too. You can go share out the episodes to people that you like or people that you hate if you want. You got a family member that you really don't like. Send this show to them. You can review the show anywhere that you can review shows. Give us all the stars. Tell the Apples and the Googles that you love us, and that'll really help us out a lot too. So thank you. Well, let's start tonight on a little bit of a somber note. We want to mention that we're our thoughts are with the folks down in South Florida. So my wife and kids were just down visiting family in Fort Lauderdale. And so when the news first broke of this tower, this condo tower that collapsed in Surfside, as news first comes out and you don't really know like all the details or whatever, like my mom texted me from Illinois and was like, Is everybody okay? Right. Like the very first image she saw on the news was, a rescuer carrying like a brown-haired boy out of the area. And so, but there were, this happened Thursday morning at about 1:20, while most people would be in bed asleep. 12-story oceanfront condo tower in Surfside, Florida, which is just north of Miami Beach. A part of that building collapsed, like pancaked flat straight down. There were, at the time that I researched this morning, there were 99 people that had been reported missing. Becca just told me as we came to air that went up to, I believe, 120.
Mm-hmm.
Something in that area. So there are quite a few people who've been reported missing.
It's now 159.
159.
Yeah.
Wow. So rescue crews are continuing to search the rubble to look for survivors. That day, that first 24 hours, which is critical, right? Again, like we're in this pattern where it storms every freaking day. And so a lot of that was hampered by some storms that rolled in on the crews while they were trying to work. As of this morning, there had been 35 survivors pulled from the rubble, with a handful injured and treated, taken to the hospital. And there were 4 confirmed deaths. Has that gone up? Do you know? Again, this was all at 7:45 when I was writing notes for the show.
Yeah, I don't see a new number for the deaths, but yeah, 159 missing still. 120 are now accounted for. I don't know if it's 120 out of that 159, but still lots of. It's going to be days.
Yeah. And could you imagine?
No, sleeping. No. And then that happens. No. And then of course we want to know why. Why?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to speak out of my knowledge base here. This was just dinner talk tonight about how frequent those inspections are, like for hurricane force strength of your building. That it's like decades long between those inspections, and apparently they were in the midst of doing an inspection. I guess they had people up working on the roof, and so yeah, there's a lot of questions that are not answered yet, and either way, super tragic, and our thoughts are there tonight. If you have anyone on the off chance that someone's watching this show, that if you have someone who stays at the condo, whether they're accounted for or safe, please check in with the teams there. There's a number that you can call, 305-614-1819 to notify officials. Either way. So that's a downer to start the show off with, but yeah, it's real frustrating. I mean, this is a building like right on the beach, right? So we don't know.
Which there's one of so many.
Yeah.
So it could have been any of those buildings, and
yeah. And to be like in the half that didn't collapse, and like to listen to those folks talk about like, oh, I heard this really loud rumble and didn't really know what was going on, and then you open the door and there's just all this dust everywhere, and yeah,
unimaginable. Yeah.
So where the hell do we go from there? Oh, let's
down.
Let's jump to some. Well, no, let's go right straight up. Let's jump to some good news and talk about Derek Chauvin.
Good.
Ish.
Yeah.
Good-ish. So talk to me about Derek Chauvin. He was sentenced to 22 and a half years.
22 and a half years in prison.
Okay.
I don't know about the half, but yeah.
Well, they do it by the month, I believe. How you end up with about a half.
270 months, I think, is what it was. And I'm just reading all the different reactions, and I think it was facing 30 years initially, and I don't know. I don't think it's enough, but I'm hearing that he's only probably going to serve 15, and I don't think it's enough. I think it's.
So So the reporting from CNN here says that sentence exceeds Minnesota's sentencing guideline range of 10 years and 8 months to 15 years for that crime.
It does.
So it very much exceeds
that. Well, good. I just, I'm glad he's going to prison. He stood up, I think, and said, "My condolences," or something like that, something lame. No apology or anything like that, but he said, "My condolences to the George Floyd family," as if something happened to George Floyd, as if he didn't happen to George Floyd. So that's what, it's just bullshit.
See, this is one of those times where my humanism gets challenged, where because I am definitely not a fan of the death penalty in any case. But I can see this being one of those times where, like, hey, you killed, one of my people, I want to kill you back. I can understand the feeling.
Yeah.
Certainly that the family would be having in that case. But then there's also something too of like that you're going to have to spend the rest of your life in misery.
I want him to do that. That's what I want.
Yeah, with the memory of all of this. That's I don't know. It's yeah.
I want him to live out that time in prison among people that he may have put in prison, and among most probably I want him to be among Black inmates if he is going to be. Just to, I'm not saying I want anything to happen to him. I just want him to be in that situation. I want him to fear for his life every single day. So, and that is, to me, is, if it's 15 years of him fearing for his life every single day, I'm good with that.
So he is 45 years old right now. So that would put him at 67, 22 years from now.
Right. And then 60 if he gets out in 15.
Right.
Still, And then I did hear just other comments from other people saying that he still has to go to court on federal charges. So there may be some time on top of that. I'm not 100% sure, just scanning the comments and the reactions of everybody. So we'll see.
Right. Like, I don't know if there is a magic number or what that number would be. But like there's got to be something that is that would make us feel like justice has been served.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do not know where that line is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm not the person that has to figure that out, because I
don't know what. Yeah, I don't either.
Well, anyway, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling maybe that his legal team will try something else. Who knows what's coming.
Right.
But.
Right. Yeah, like I don't know where that leaves him, like with appeals.
Yeah.
Because it came down today. I haven't had time to like really sit and look at it.
Just based on when he addressed the court, and just based on what he said, it led me to believe that his legal team and his legal team weren't finished, and that there were some other things that they may have had up their sleeve. I don't know.
Right.
He was really vague and purposefully vague about with his statements. So I don't know. But it's like, okay, you did it. Just stop. You did it. Everybody saw it. Stop. Do your time. Apologize. Be a decent human. I know that his mother got up there and said, "Oh, my son is a good man." Is he? Is he though? But so, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So I just found what you were talking about. Under Minnesota law, Chauvin will have to serve 2/3 of his sentence in prison, which is 15 years, and then would be eligible for supervised release for the other 7.5 years. So yeah. Awesome. Well, as that develops, we'll keep an eye on that.
Do you have critters?
No. No, my wife.
That's the live one, though.
Yeah.
So nobody can see that.
Yeah. So apparently our Facebook feed is blocked. Nobody can see it. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Hey, so maybe we'll just start doing YouTube only now, since Facebook is douchey about. It's the count. Okay, so this happens every week. It's the countdown clip in the intro. It gets flagged as copywritten content that somebody else owns, and then I have to go through this appeal process to be like, hey, I have the rights to use this, and submit it, and then wait, and it's like a week, and then that comes back. Yeah, Facebook is garbage.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, big pain in the ass. So I guess I'll put a thing out on Facebook to say everybody come to YouTube. Screw Facebook.
Zook?
Yeah, you hear me, Zuckerberg? Okay. Let's talk about everybody's favorite demon buster, Kimberly Daniels. For those who may not know, Kim Daniels she was a Florida state representative, Democrat, though you wouldn't be able to tell it by any of the bills that she filed or any of the votes that she cast. And she actually talks about that too, that she doesn't feel welcome in the Democratic Party.
Shocker.
Well, yeah. So she self-described demon buster. She leads a church where like speaking in tongues is a thing, like laying of hands, healing, that sort of stuff, right?
Is she? Did I read she's an exorcist? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
She's the demon buster.
Okay. Got it.
Oh, I wish I had like I'm gonna have to develop a file, media file clips, because she's got some doozies. She once said that she was thankful for slavery because if it hadn't been for slavery, that she might still be in Africa worshiping a tree. And that is damn near almost verbatim.
I know. I remember this chick.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now. All right.
That's Kim Daniels. She is the one that files all of the bills that like go across the church state line. She had a big banner one year that said talking about let's put prayer back in schools. She carried the moment of silence bill the year prior. Well, she got beat in her re-election campaign, and that's why you haven't heard from her lately.
Yeah,
but
she got beat by a Republican though too, right?
Yeah, she got beat in the primary, and then I don't think anybody ran against her. If I remember right, I'd have to look it up. But this is from Florida Politics. So Kimberly Daniels is back. She calls herself a socially conservative Democrat, exorcist, and minister. Described as the Demon Buster, who previously served on the city council in Jacksonville as an at-large member. She's running again now back into the city council to serve on the city level again. She's running as a Democrat, which is worth noting because she lost in the primary last year to Representative Angie Nixon. Daniels seemed by some to represent the repudiation of the Daniels brand, but that wasn't clearly that wasn't the case. Even after losing to Nixon, Daniels suggested her political future wasn't over. She lost by roughly 20% in a closed Democratic primary, spoke to her positions that roiled liberal elements of the caucus. Quote, here we go. I made the statement, and I told those in the Democratic Party who had such a problem with me standing for things of righteousness. They had problems with me saying marriage is between a man and a woman. Yeah. They had problems with me standing for the sanctity of life.
Abortion.
I told my haters and my enemies in Tallahassee that if you don't like me, put someone else in the race and let them take the position. And that's what happened.
She's a nutcase. Wow.
She is. Like, what makes you a Democrat? If you're not, if it's not the social stuff, like you're socially conservative.
Nothing makes her a Democrat. She needs her own party.
Yeah. The Demon Buster Party. Oh, God, don't even suggest that.
Yeah, she doesn't align with anything Democrats align with.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in the same way that, like, the log cabin Republicans just boggle my freaking mind. Because in the Republican Party platform, it talks about how a marriage is between one man and one woman and whatnot.
Right.
So, like, how
might as well just jump on over there.
Gay Republican? I don't get it.
Jump on over there, because we're fine with her jumping right over there.
She said, the last time I lost my race for the city council, I ended up in the House of Representatives. Where is God taking me now? Republicans liked her in Tallahassee, and they may like her as she makes another run at city council. The Florida Chamber of Commerce backed her in 2020 and has called her the most pro-business Democrat in the Florida legislature. Political committees backed by legislative heavyweights in the Republican caucus, including House Budget Chair Travis Cummings and future House Speaker Paul Renner, likewise backed the incumbent in her intra-party battle. So, again, like, if it looks like a Republican and it walks like a Republican and it quacks like a Republican, it's a Republican, right? Like,
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know enough about partisan politics, like how parties operate, to be like, because when I first started following this lady and the crazy stuff that she was doing and saying, I thought to myself, why has the party not ousted her? Like, if she goes against all of the things that the Democratic Party stands for, why is she still in there?
Maybe they just keep
is there
her
something
around for entertainment? I don't know, because
like, is there some reason they can't?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I can see the Facebook feed. Keith can see the Facebook feed. Becca doesn't know how to do Facebook, apparently.
It's not blocked? Is it blocked or no?
No, probably last week's was what's blocked, because it goes through that process. Anyway, let's stay up in Tallahassee a little bit and talk about the bill DeSantis, a couple of bills that DeSantis has signed. One of them we've talked at great length about on the show, and the other not so much. So the bill about moment of silence. What I liked about this article that you pulled from, this is from what, the Floridian Press.
Sure.
I want to read it because there's a couple of pieces in here that I was just like, oh, that's an interesting take on the story. Well done, journalist. Mm-hmm. Governor DeSantis signed House Bill 529, Moment of Silence in Public Schools bill, into law at the Shul of Bal Harbor on Monday, allowing children K through 12 to pray in school. Now, that is not a very nuanced opening salvo. It is the effect that the bill does, right? But that's not how it's been spun this entire time. No, it was a moment of
silence, right? Yeah. And it was assured, oh, this is not about prayer in schools, but
until it was. We knew that that's what it was. And that he signed the bill at a religious, like at a synagogue, right? That if this is something that only affects public schools and not religious schools. So, come on, man, don't fool us. Governor DeSantis told synagogue attendees that he believes it is, quote, important to be able to provide each student the ability at every day, pray as they see fit, the idea that you can just push God out of every institution and be successful. The founding fathers did not believe that, so we have an opportunity here to really protect the religious freedom of everybody who is going to school, K through 12, in the state of Florida. However, let me invoke the spirit of Andrew Seidel and say, wrong. wrong. The founding fathers, no. The event almost didn't happen and was delayed a few hours as DeSantis' plane was diverted due to severe weather that passed through South Florida shortly before his noon event was supposed to take place.
He should have
weather.
That as a sign. That was a sign, DeSantis. I mean, come
on. Prior to signing the bill, DeSantis told the story of when he and his wife Casey traveled to Israel.
Oh my.
The couple bottled up some water from the Sea of Galilee to use to baptize their future children.
Lie. I mean, I don't know.
What? Why?
It's just
what?
It's a lie. It's probably a lie, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and so then the reporter goes on to say, on a personal note, how did they get the water past Israeli police and airport security? By the way,
exactly.
I once tried boarding a flight out of Tel Aviv with a stone I quote unquote found at the ancient site, and was thoroughly searched by Israeli secret security detail for 2 hours. The stone never made it on the plane. So, I mean, yeah,
maybe a little bitty fib.
I don't get to go through the airport with a bottle of water anymore.
No.
But and then of course, the article had a picture of DeSantis at the wall, just catering to the base.
Oh yeah, my eyes could not roll any farther back.
Right. And again, so all session long, we were banging the drum on this show, right? Over and over again. This was a bill that we tried to get people to get, worked up about and to send messages and call your representatives and do all those things to respond to this because we knew what it was about, despite what they were trying to say it was about.
Right.
And then sure enough, as soon as before the ink was even dry, DeSantis is talking about how great it is to get prayer back in school. And then Randy Fine was all over Twitter being all kinds of a jackass about how all this was indeed about prayer and yeah, he's the special case. If you follow his social media, he's like going after Matt Gaetz for like crazy, like just the kind of stuff that he posts and talks about, and the way he approaches topics. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Crazy Matt. Some interesting response to this. Rep. Omari Hardy, West Palm Beach Democrat, who voted against the bill, accused Republican sponsors of misrepresenting the intent behind the measure.
Yeah.
Tweeted, quote, "The Republican who sponsored the bill said it wasn't about prayer in school. Of course it was. But when you question their motives or their honesty, it's called a personal attack and deemed out of order. No, the Republicans lie, and we need to call them on it every time," Hardy said in a tweet. So yeah, that's, I think there was a purposeful, obviously who they picked to file what bill is very intentional. And that's everybody on whatever political side of the spectrum. There's, it's just a well-organized, thought out process. So they picked him for a reason, right? And it's probably because he's Jewish, so that we couldn't scream, crazy Christian right. And, and these days, if you say anything that's like anywhere near anti-Jewish, then they run you right up the flagpole as,
anti-Semitic,
the new coming of Hitler or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Let one of those children come in there, Muslim or some other religion, and use their prayer time, and let's see what happens.
Right. The boys over at Thank God I'm Atheist suggested all you have to do is just get one kid, maybe two, and they can maybe they can get their friends on it too. That so they start their minute or two of silence, and at the end just have them just quietly, but loud enough for others to hear it. Just hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Hail.
Do that a few times. Woo, look out. I said that if there was an interested student in Florida who identifies with maybe the tenets of Satanism, I would be willing to go in on maybe a pentagram rug. What about a little statue of Baphomet to sit on your desk?
Yes.
Could you, again, like, imagine you're going to have, if we could just get one kid to, like, roll up into class on the very first day and unfurl this rug, right?
Surely.
Set up his little Baphomet statue and, like, light a fucking Lucifer candle or something.
Hey, this is, and they
That'll
can
be
say,
the end
well,
of it.
this is my prayer time.
Right.
You know, this is how I pray.
Yep. And again, because the bill was written so vaguely, but explicitly that, you know, you can't interfere with another person's time.
Exactly.
As long as I'm being quiet, right? You said 2 minutes of silence. It doesn't say what I can or can't use it for. So as long as I'm quiet, then I should be able to roll out my rug and light my candle and set my little Baphomet statue up. I'm gonna design. We'll put this up on our merch store. We need a little
Baphomet. Yes.
I'm gonna make like a Florida student moment of silence starter kit or something.
Oh my gosh! Yes. Oh my god. Sign me up. I will buy it. I totally will buy it. I want a little Baphomet statue or a sticker to put on my laptop. I want Baphomet everywhere. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, we knew what it was. We told you if you bought into the lie that was told all session long about how this wasn't about prayer and it had nothing to do with religion, that it was just about allowing children some time to, you know, be quiet and reflect on the world. We told you so, and maybe listen to us next time.
Yeah, that's a big I told you so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is K through 12, is that right?
Public schools. Yep. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd love to see how it works out, like what the effect is. If there are any issues, please let us know. We definitely want to know about them. Yeah. But here's the thing. What it'll be is a big nothing burger because nobody's going to care. Like, Rep Fine's kid is going to say a prayer during this time or whatever, and all the other kids are going to like pick their nose and
they can't have their phones in the schools, but they're going to just be doing whatever.
Yeah,
what kids
doodle
do.
on the paper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Throwing spitballs. I mean, that's what I do. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I forgot to say this. You can call us if you want to talk about any of these topics that we've talked about tonight. You can call 253-900-2272. 253-900-2272 if you want to call in and weigh in on any of this stuff. I'll go back to previous topics that we've already dug into, but we want to hear what you think about all of this stuff. So let's go to the next DeSantis story, bill signing. This one is about requiring colleges. I can't even say this with a straight face.
No, it's ridiculous.
So listen, I come from a small town of 1,400 people in the middle of the cornfields in Illinois, right? Where there is a pervasive belief that you go to college to become a liberal. Like, that's just what happens. You grow up in conservative land, between the corn and the soybeans, but if you go to college, well, there's a pretty good chance you're going to come back a radicalized liberal or whatever.
All that book learning, look at
right,
you know.
Yeah. So there, that I don't know. That's just the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time. But that's such a pervasive belief among conservative people. That's what's going on in colleges. And I might add, like, this is all just sort of personal experience, anecdotal, but it's conservative people who haven't gone to college that think that that's what happens in college.
And if education is what makes you a liberal, what does that say?
Yeah, but they just think that, like, this just indoctrination centers, and you hear this about, like, K-12 schools too, where, like, we were talking about critical race theory last week. You know, there are these people who just think that, like, we're sending our kids off to indoctrination camps And that's what's going on. Like, look, volunteer in your kid's classroom then. Oh, you don't have kids? Well, then sit down. So this one is about like they're gonna have to do a survey of students and faculty on like what their belief systems are. What do they believe in? What do they?
This sounds so wrong to do. And are they wanting to know? Is there any detail about this? Is it their political leanings, or is it just their?
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to ensure that that there is, in their words, quote, viewpoint diversity and intellectual freedom, right? So DeSantis said himself, like, this indoctrinating students thing like comes right from his mouth. This is one of their talking points.
Dumb.
DeSantis said that schools found to be indoctrinating students aren't, quote, worth tax dollars and are not something we are going to be supporting going forward. The survey will assess the extent to which competing ideas and perspectives are presented. So this goes back to some of that stuff like, well, we're going to teach you evolution, but we should also teach you the alternatives too. Like, how far do you want this to go? Are we going to have Hitler was a good guy class? Like, right. Is that, I mean, if we're teaching like all sides of the issues or whatever, like, how far does this go?
I don't understand this indoctrination that he's talking about. What he really means is education.
Yes, right. You're absolutely right. What he means is education. That's correct. So they're going to assess the extent to which competing ideas and perspectives are presented and determine whether students, faculty, and staff, quote, feel free to express their beliefs and viewpoints on campus and in the classroom. So you should be able to say, like, hey, I don't agree with what you're teaching me. Chris Columbus was a great guy. He founded this country, and God bless America. But right, so that you again, like, this goes back to, I think, a lot of the. Do you remember when the whole goddamn place was on fire about Milo Yiannopoulos and colleges like refusing certain speakers because they would bring in a conservative speaker, and like liberal minded students would react to that and hold protests and basically shout the guy off of campus. And so then it got to the point where they're like, okay, well, we're just not going to schedule those people anymore. And so there was this big hubbub about that, right? This is, to me, this comes sort of from that same vein, from that same like line of thinking. Like, tell me what viewpoint is being restricted? Like, what is it that you're not being allowed to think or say or do?
This is nothing about nothing. This is not even, it isn't, I swear they're just making shit up. I mean, they're making problems or conjuring up problems that aren't even problems.
This whole legislative session has been a solution in search of a problem.
Right.
Again, we're dealing with a literal global pandemic, climate crisis. Lake Okeechobee is all flared up again, and what are we worried about? Intellectual viewpoint diversity and trans girls playing in sports.
Exactly, and not to mention guns, people getting killed with school shootings or all kinds of incidents with guns. Didn't see one law this year, no bill passed to protect our students or to protect people. It was all these bullshit laws that went through. Their concern is not the people. And that is so obvious.
Yep. And the data bear that out. Like, if when you go and ask Americans, when you go and ask Floridians, like, hey, what are the issues you care about? It's not this. Like, the majority of people, this isn't the thing.
They just made this shit up.
I want to be able to go to the doctor and not have it like put me out of my home because it's so goddamn expensive.
Right.
That's a thing that most people want you to get in there and fix.
Right. I want to send my kids to school and not have to have them go through these stupid drills for an active shooter drill. No kid should ever have to go through that. You know?
Yeah.
But no. Let's give them 2 minutes.
Right. Oh, and that I'll come back to that in a minute, and because that'll be the nice bridge into the next story. The last thing I want to say on this one comes from the Tampa Bay Times. DeSantis added that it is now the norm for schools to be intellectually repressive environments that promote orthodoxies, though he didn't specify which orthodoxies were being promoted. Or which schools have this problem. So it's funny that the public schools are being challenged as the one teaching orthodoxies, when it's the private religious schools that literally teach.
For sure,
teach, for sure, orthodoxy.
Yeah.
But this is it's all tied together. The thread runs through all of this. This is critical race theory is baked into that statement. That's the orthodoxy. That's the, these liberal colleges are indoctrinating our kids with ideas about, and then completely misrepresent critical race theory by saying, that all white people are, this, and all you're responsible for things that happened 100 years ago. And just
nobody's saying that.
Nobody's saying that.
But they just feel this deep-seated guilt, like somebody's blaming me for something. Oh no!
Right?
No.
I want to just go down a side street just for a minute, because I saw and shared a really great meme today that was sort of related an idea that I don't think I had considered it in this particular way, but essentially it was like, imagine that a building was built before the ADA laws went into effect, right? You've seen this one, right?
Yeah, it's 100%.
Building, and this is true. I worked at Disney, and at the Magic Kingdom, it was built long before ADA went into effect, and so it just functions differently. But that's because they've had to adapt. Anyway, so a building was built before the ADA laws went into effect, and then that building got sold and transferred and sold, and somebody else ended up with it. All these years down the road, and then ADA laws get passed, and now you own this building that does not conform to ADA laws. You didn't build the building. You didn't create the problem. You didn't make the structure that negatively impacts people with disabilities who need to be able to come into your building and use your structure. You didn't create it, but unless you do something about it, you're perpetuating it. You're complicit in it.
Absolutely. Yep.
You're still operating the system that was set up that was inequitable to start with.
Right. No, don't get butthurt about it. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Put some damn ramps in and
exactly. Do right by the people. It's all that, and nobody's blaming you. Just do right by the people. Now it's your responsibility.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good one.
Yeah, very awesome.
So you were talking about gun rights, gun laws. And there is a real interesting set of videos that just I don't know if they just got released, but so there are a couple of parents from Parkland who Patricia and Manuel Oliver, their son Joaquin was murdered in the Parkland school shooting. Put together some videos where this is so great because and look, let me preface this by saying two things. Whatever side of the gun debate you come down on, fine. But you have to appreciate the creativity in this particular piece of media. For what it is and how incredibly thoughtful and provoking that it is. So feel about guns however you want. And then the second thing is I'm going to play this video And for some of you, it may be tough to watch. So if that's you, come back in 5 minutes. So this comes off of NBC News. Change the Ref, a gun safety organization founded by Patricia and Manuel Oliver, released videos in which they trick famous pro-gun figures into addressing a sea of empty chairs, each chair representing a child or teenager who was shot and killed before they could graduate from high school. I'm not going to describe the video because we're going to watch it. In a statement, Change the Ref said, "This campaign is not about tricking a couple of NRA members. It's about showing how thousands of empty chairs during graduations have become a normal American tradition." So let's see. What did it say? It says somewhere in here how many chairs there were. 3,044
something. Yeah.
empty chairs.
And was
haunting.
that like how many kids were killed this year, or?
I believe. I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe it'll say it in the video.
Yeah. We have to back up the quote. We have back up to the quote. Universal background checks would not have stopped a single mass shooting this century. Sometimes there's no need for editing, and this is one of the cases. So I'm going to play it, but we'll come back and talk about one of these guys was like, "Oh, they edited the video, and you should just play the full video," and they refute that. So strap in. This is one of those videos.
David Keene was the two-time president of the National Rifle Association. He continues to be a staunch defender of your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Therefore, it is my privilege to introduce to you David Keene.
Let me begin by telling you what an honor it is to be here to help celebrate your graduation. Picture for a minute the young James Madison, for whom this school is named. This year you focused on one of the most important of Madison's amendments, the Second Amendment. There are some who will continue to fight to gut the Second Amendment, but I'd be willing to bet that many of you will be among those who stand up and prevent them from succeeding.
911 emergency.
Defending it is a challenge and a duty that Americans like you
They were shooting into my classroom.
who understand what has made the country the envy of the world must accept as their own.
Okay, is anybody injured? Yes, a lot of blood. Please help, please.
An overwhelming majority of you will go on to college, while others may decide their dream dictates a different route to success.
School. Okay, do you know how many people are injured?
So my advice to you is simple enough. Follow your dream and make it a reality.
My son is in Stillman Douglas. My daughter just texted me from school. She's at Stillman Douglas.
And never for a minute doubt that you can achieve that dream. Thank you.
Okay, it's safe to come back now. If that doesn't move you, I sure as hell don't know what will. But imagine being this dude and saying those things. Obviously, assuming that you're speaking to the graduating class and not the kids who would have graduated this year, but for whom, if they had not been killed. Yeah. They did try to reach out to Keene, and a woman answered the phone, declined to comment.
Not one fucking law. Nothing. For these kids.
And again, I get there are people all over this issue. Oh, laws don't do this, laws don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, all of that stuff.
Gun, Second Amendment.
But you know what we've done since Columbine, since Sandy Hook. Not a goddamn thing. Not even a, like,
Nothing.
If you work in a company and there's a problem on the table, hey, we'll try the bad ideas too. Like, if half the team's like, I don't think that idea will work. Well, let's just fucking try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let's do something. And we haven't. We've sat in a committee room and stared at each other and argued and bickered over this won't work, that will work, or this is the problem, that isn't the problem. And we've just inaction, complete inaction.
Yep.
In the second video, which I'm not going to play, I'll save you that one. You can look these up on YouTube if you want. In the second video, John Lott Jr., author of More Guns, Less Crime, denounces universal background checks.
More guns. Wait.
More
what?
guns, less crime. Well, here. Lott tells the empty chairs about his time working for the Department of Justice during the Trump administration, and describes people whose gun purchases were foiled by background checks as, quote, 3.5 million law-abiding citizens who wanted a gun. In a statement, Lott said his remarks in the video were taken out of context and called the clips deceptive and selectively edited, adding that he spoke for about 15 minutes, much longer than the 1-minute video was included. Lott called on Change the Ref to release his full speech. In follow-up remarks on the phone, Lott said he drove 1,000 miles from Montana to deliver the remarks. I thought I was trying to help out a school there, he told NBC News. It's just outrageous that somebody would do that. You got tricked. I get it. That doesn't feel good. And I don't know that, I don't know how I feel about their methods. I haven't really processed that yet.
Whatever.
Because I'm still thinking about those empty chairs.
Yeah, I'm just thinking whatever it takes to get someone to listen, because they've tried everything. Sorry, I have critters. They've tried everything.
We love your kitty. She's
All
a
right.
sweetheart.
Just be good. Don't show them your butthole. So, but I mean, what else can they do? But the
Right.
shock factor is like they're not trying to get their attention for fun. People
Right.
are dying, and we need.
These are parents. These are parents who lost their
Lost their
child. Yeah. Asked if his video was deceptively edited, Manuel Oliver told NBC News it wasn't. We have, we have backup to the quote, universal background checks would not have stopped a single mass shooting this century. Sometimes there's no need for editing, and this is one of those cases. Actual words, real space, absolute arrogance, and 3,044 empty chairs. Jay Walker, a New York City organizer with Gays Against Guns, which produces colorful gun violence protest actions that often attract news coverage, called Change the Ref's video protest campaign brilliant. Hats off to Change the Ref for doing this, Walker said. Again, wherever you fall on the thing, I think you gotta respect the game on this one. So you would have had to line all of this up, right? Hey, I'm reaching out to you, and they did say, I'll see if I can find it here in the other article that I've got. They did say that they sort of asked these speakers to be political in their speech, where maybe they didn't want to be. So you line all this whole fake graduation up and like, hey, we're going to have a rehearsal, right? So come and do your speech at the rehearsal so we can get the cameras where they need to be and like timing and line it all up and get it all recorded. And that's what they recorded and used, right, with all the empty chairs. Just the mechanics of pulling off that.
Look, I just be like, that. All I say is, how does it feel to be tricked? How does it feel to be lied to? That's what I would say to the people who did the speeches and feel like they were entrapped somehow. Now they know how it feels to be lied to be entrapped. I have no sympathy for them. So.
In a statement to CNN, Lott said that he did not want his commencement speech to be political or about gun control, but was asked to do so by the event organizers. And then,
and he did it with ease,
and
though.
he did it anyway. Oh,
and
yeah.
he was able to give that speech, but,
Mm-hmm.
if it
Right.
wasn't something he didn't believe in, he wouldn't have said it. So
Right. He said they should make the entire video public. I have dedicated years of my life to try to prevent school shootings, Lott said. He told CNN he talked about how to fix the system and how to make it work and how gun control advocates are fighting against his ideas, but he said the organization edited that out.
I mean, I'd be interested to see
the whole thing. Yeah, I'll watch it. Sure.
Yeah. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to the whole thing.
Right.
But still, nothing's happened. Nothing's been done.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, so let's see. We've got maybe just a couple of stories left here, and then we get to call it a night. Woo! Again, if you want to chat with us about any of these issues, you can give us a call, 253-900-2272, 253-900-2272. Call and talk about the stuff that we're talking about in the news. This isn't the Why You Believe talk show. But if you want to weigh in on the things that we're discussing here, things that are going on in the state of Florida that are church-state separation related, or that's been on your mind. So this one comes to us from Texas, and when I look for stories, I think Florida, and then I find Texas. I don't know how that happens. We are in deep competition for 50th place, remember? But a friend of the show, Monica Miller, who's the senior legal counsel at American Humanists Association, recently sent a letter out to a Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles with legal action over an unconstitutional religious treatment program. This is a press release from the American Humanists Association. Quote, Texas, a state that prides itself on religious freedom, is literally forcing an atheist to believe in God as a condition of parole, explained AHA's legal director and senior counsel Monica Miller. We expect Texas to respond favorably to my letter in light of the well-settled nature of the law and the egregiousness of this particular violation. If not, we'll see them in court. The AHA's letter details that the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles is compelling an American Humanist Association member in their custody to participate in Alcoholics Anonymous, a program that includes faith-based and spirituality-based material, or risk forfeiting parole. The state of Texas refuses to allow the humanist inmate to partake in a secular alternative program as the law requires. In the letter, Miller explained the program is not only unconstitutionally coercive, but also said that the refusal to offer secular treatment programs to non-theistic inmates, including humanists and Buddhists, amounts to religious discrimination in violation of the First and 14th Amendments. The letter serves as an official notice of the unconstitutional activity and demands immediate action is taken to put a stop to this and any similar illegal activity. So what I think is interesting here is, there's a lot of talk about Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, but how back in the day it was real religious, and then they found Jesus or something and decided, well, we'll just call it a higher power, man. That's what it was. They got high and they were like, no, man.
Jesus light now,
right. Now, just it could be the universe, man. Whatever your higher power is, it could be anything, but it can't be yourself, right? Because this isn't about you having the power to overcome obstacles. This is about something higher than you.
Kind of is. I mean,
totally is.
It's kind of you.
Yeah, totally you.
Is it based in any type of like psychology at all, or is it just? I don't know anything about the program, but does it have any type of basis in psychology?
Not really. There are some of the components of the 12-step that are useful and do make sense. The big problem that we all have with AA and NA, in addition to their higher power, because that sort of that really plays into the whole, like, this is all your fault, you weak, pathetic link, that you don't have the power to overcome this yourself. And it's the Christian beat you down to build you back up kind of thing. So like that's one problem. But the other thing is there's not a lot of data. They don't open their, because it's largely peer support, and not a structured program really. There isn't data really to open up. They don't have the data to give us. I guess a lot of meetings are anonymous. It's anonymous. You can come in. They don't collect a whole lot of information. So there's really no way to tell the efficacy of the program other than the anecdotal, the people that are like, yeah, I love it. It worked for me. Okay, good. If it works for you, great. Like that. I'm glad that you found a thing that works for you, and I'm glad that you beat it. Fuck yeah, but you did that. Let me first say, pat yourself on the back.
Take credit for it.
You did that.
Yeah, and take credit for it.
But there are a lot of people for whom it doesn't work. And again, so the data doesn't tell us how successful it is. There's no way to know rates of recidivism. Any of that kind of information is it's really not there. So what do you do with that? Well, there are other secular programs. There are, LifeRing is one of them. Somebody in the chat is going to tell me the others because I've forgotten them now. I just remember LifeRing because we interviewed him on the show several years ago. That operates similarly in a peer support sort of way. Mm-hmm. But to your point, I feel like these should be structured. Maybe not peer support, right? Maybe it should be a program.
It should be.
You don't
know peer. You don't know who you're going to be getting for your partner or your sponsor or whatever, mm-hmm. and they're going to their advice has not been vetted, and you don't know if it's grounded in anything with any type of psychological to back it up. So you don't know who you're getting and what kind of advice you're getting, and I don't know. I think that whole program needs to be revamped. Why anonymous? First of all, if you've, come out and say, I need help. We're at the place now where mental health is, remove the stigma. Let's stop being anonymous. Let's stop being anonymous. Mm-hmm. Let's say, hey, I'm an alcoholic. I need help. Right. And then we can actually have a program and then be able to judge it, is it working? Have some real numbers, real data. But
any other treatment program, like any other program, yeah.
Why? Yeah, that is interesting. Why is alcoholics? Why is that anonymous still? But if you're a drug addict, you get called. if you've smoked weed, you suddenly your shit is out there. You're not anonymous. You can't be anonymous. But so the anonymous part is, I feel like it's still perpetrating that stigma of mental health. There's nothing.
Right. It's all wrapped up together.
Yeah. If you have problems, it's okay. We all have them.
Right. We all have them. Yep. Right. Yeah. There's also a thing for me of, again, not treating this. We're treating this like let's go sit in a circle and talk about it rather than let's go seek actual treatment, right? I feel like whether it is a medical treatment or a psychotherapy treatment or a whatever, combination of things, I have anxiety and depression. Mm-hmm. And I see my doctor for it. Mm-hmm. My doctor gives me drugs that help the chemical imbalance in my brain that causes the thing to happen.
Right.
And in between those times when the medication works well, but occasionally it doesn't. And, you need to have a safety net under you. And I go talk to my therapist. And that's there is a
2-3-pronged approach. I mean, you can't just.
Yeah. And all of those things can be measured. We can see that this medication is working for a great number of people, blah, 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 whatever. There's trials and studies, and we actually track data and we have information on the efficacy of various treatments. And if a treatment doesn't work, you know what we do? We stop using it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel we should be doing the same thing with addiction and recovery, and we don't.
Yeah.
But again, like, I live in this post-scarcity socialist future Star Trek world where, like, you should be able to, anybody anywhere in the world, I'll speak for America because that's where we're at in the U.S. Anybody in the U.S. should be able to walk into any clinic, and there should be many of them available, and say, hey, I need help, and get the help without worrying about their ability to pay, their employment status, their relationship status, their whether they're a citizen or not, any of that stuff. Like
alien, human.
That's my world. That's my world. That's my future. That's my vision.
You're
People should be
talking
able
about galactic healthcare.
Yes,
Sarah.
galactic healthcare. Ooh, I love that.
Was it Federation?
Federation.
Healthcare?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yep.
Devin would have made a joke about Star Wars here. Yeah, so it's really frustrating. Let me read from some of the letter to the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. We'll call them, is this a he pronoun? Yes. We'll call it Mr. Doe arrived at the Havens unit on or about January 15th, 2021 to complete a pre-release treatment program. He has since been told by various state-employed counselors that he is required to participate in Alcoholics Anonymous or risk forfeiting parole. Counselors have also specifically asked him to read and recite parts of Bill's story, I have to look that up now, and other faith-based and spirituality-based material. The 12 steps of AA require Mr. Doe to believe in a, quote, power greater than himself, and a subsequent decision to, quote, turn his will and life over to the care of God as he understands him. All right, God could be the universe, man. As a humanist, Mr. Doe does not believe in any God or power of this nature. He cannot complete AA without violating his own sincerely held convictions. Mr. Doe would like to attend the secular alternative that the state of Texas already apparently offers. See Texas Offender Orientation Handbook. Citation. Support group includes Secular Organization for Sobriety, SOS. That's one of the ones I forgot. Mr. Doe has not been allowed to participate in this alternative and has been consistently told he must complete the religious-based program prior to parole release. So that's the bullshit, right? There is a secular program available. It's apparently
they're just refusing to
let him go. Yeah.
Okay. That's just being mean, you know.
Right. And for the longest time there and in other places I guess there is a lack of diversity in the, like, AA is the program. Right. And that's the issue that we've had with it all along, is that, like, that's the only one. Yeah, it's the only one. So, at the very least, I would prefer that all people, the court, first of all, the court is mandating that you go to this class or to this program. Right. And if it's religious based, then that crosses the church state line. So, I want all of these people to go through a program that's been vetted, that's evidence-based, that use medically accurate information, and again, has the data to back up its efficacy. I think everybody should go to that program. Do we have that program? Let's make that program. Like, why are we still talking about this? Let's go do the damn thing already.
Yeah, there's tons of psychologists and PhDs out there who can kind of get together, build a program, something that works, Yep. Something that we could measure.
So this one has an alternative, and they just won't let the dude go.
That's just douchey.
Yeah. And again, like, I agree with the assessment at the top of this letter that, or the top of the press release, that they will likely receive this letter and go, I guess we probably ought to let this guy go to this other thing, huh? Because it's, I mean, that's part of the I would be very surprised if they fought this back and then it went to court. I wouldn't be.
Hope so.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't be completely surprised because it's Texas, but yeah. And this isn't the final story. We have one. Oh no, there is. Yeah, this is the final story. I
think you have. Well, go ahead.
Oh, do I have another one?
Well, no, go ahead.
I was gonna go to Crypt Keeper Pat Robertson.
Oh, that's the one. Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that one.
Oh boy. I didn't pull the story on this, but like, oh my God, what can you say?
I can't wait to see the video.
Patty Pat. Well, so last week we talked about critical race theory. And you know, when we talk about things like that, I often think, you know, whose opinion we should get for this topic like this, and it's crusty old white guy is always what I come back with. We should find out what a white dude thinks about this issue. So this is off of Right Wing Watch. It seems as if the entire right wing movement is currently obsessed with critical race theory, which is leading to increasingly unhinged reactions to the dangers supposedly posed by it. Technically, critical race theory is an academic framework for examining the ways in which systemic racism, the building that doesn't have ramps in our earlier example, shapes and influences national and social institutions. But to the right-wing activists who refuse to understand this, it has become a catch-all phrase used to attack anything they dislike, like socialism. This has created a vicious cycle whereby commentators misrepresent what critical race theory is. I said all of this earlier, didn't I? And instead attribute it to a cavalcade of hypothetical horrors that, in turn, generates panic and outrage among other activists over something they don't understand. Predictably, televangelist Pat Robertson got into the act on the 700-Year-Old Club Thursday, where he... sorry, that was an editorial...
That was a Freudian slip. What?
Yeah. That Right Wing Watch didn't write that. Sorry, that was me.
I know that's all you said.
Where he claimed that critical race theory is a monstrous evil, encouraging people of color to rise up and overtake their oppressors. Let's watch our friend Pat Robertson on the 700-Year-Old Club.
God. Oh my God.
We don't endorse the views of this either.
That the people of color have been oppressed by the white people, and the white people begin to be racist by the time they're 2 or 3 months old, and therefore the people of color have to rise up and overtake their oppressors, and then, having gotten the whip handle, if I can use that term, then to instruct their white neighbors how to behave. Now that's critical race theory, and it sets people against one group against another. It is totally divisive, and as has been said, this is the way the communists take over. They try to destroy the children. It is a monstrous evil. And you hear it sounds like, oh, critical race theory, that's okay. No, it's not. It doesn't want to have your children in the 3rd grade indoctrinated into a hate group so that he'll wind up hating people or hating himself. And so the white people are supposed to feel guilty, and they're supposed to have white guilt. And the people of color are supposed to cleanse them of that guilt by taking over. It is a monstrous evil.
I have some
all the way through this. I'm so sorry.
I have some guilt right now about making you all watch that.
Excuse me. I laughed all the way through that.
Oh my God.
There's something really creepy about the way he says people of color. I don't know. This is weird.
And white people. The way he says white people. Listen, I got to tell you, I'm real surprised he didn't say Negro throughout that whole thing. People of color? Wow. Like, to me, that's advanced for Pat.
It was probably killing him not to say it, you know, it was on the tip of his tongue.
Yeah.
You know, that he taught all this stuff that he talked about was us, you know, rising up and overtaking the proof. That's exactly what they're afraid of.
Yes.
And that is what why critical race theory is such a huge like monster is because that's exactly what they're afraid of. They're afraid that we're going to do to them what was done to our ancestors. And we're just asking for like what we've always been asking for, equality. But that's ridiculous. I mean, I laughed the whole way through that.
We have third grade hate groups. Communism.
Wow.
What?
Third grade. I mean, come on. Nobody's thinking about that shit in third grade.
No. And again, like the whole thing about critical race theory as an educational component, if your kid is learning about that, they're in college, right? That's college level course material. That's not third grade.
No, right.
Now, do I want all of our third graders to have a factual history? Yes. Yep. That's a thing I would like. But you just like hit the nail so on the head about so much of this revisionist history, right? All of it, every freaking piece of it. How great the founding fathers were and how much they loved Jesus and rewrite, is all about maintaining a white power structure.
Absolutely. Because they're on the grip of losing it. And I feel like that is why they're holding on to it with a death grip.
Yeah.
Same with religion. More people are going to atheism or none, and they're holding on to it with a death grip, trying to stick it back into our schools. Yeah. So I think it's all about.
And I think it's only going to get louder as it becomes like the last dying gasps of a breed that is no more. Like, Pat.
Come on, man.
I know you're watching.
The people of color want to say to you, Pat, you're wrong. You're so wrong. Yeah. Stop being so afraid of us.
Yeah. And that's like, I don't want to live in the world that my parents grew up in. Right. I don't want my kids to live in the world that I grew up in. Like, isn't the whole fucking point of this life thing to just keep making things better?
Yeah.
Like,
you'd think.
Here's another bullshit thing we were taught. Do you remember that melting pot bullshit about how we were all going to come here and everybody was going to mix in? And okay.
Oil and water ain't mixing.
Yep.
And some of this other shit that they throw into the pot ain't mixing. And everybody's separating.
How do you teach a bunch of kids the whole American melting pot thing and then be like, but black and white people can't mix. You can't do that. Those two shouldn't melt. Right. What? Ugh, it's infuriating.
Good times.
Don't feed the trolls, Sarah. Don't feed the trolls, Sarah. Don't feed the trolls, Sarah. I'm dying to. YouTube chat people are YouTube chat.
Come on, we're the fan.
So there you go. Third grade hate group, I think, is what we'll call this episode.
Third grade hate groups.
Third grade hate groups. God. But I think it's important. And like, look, there are a million podcasts that play stuff like that and do commentary on it. But I think it's important because like this is an actual thing that's happening on the other side, right? In the hyper religious side of the coin here. This is the kind of stuff that's being talked about. This is what they think about critical race theory. And all of the other things. They're freaking out. Yeah. And I think it's important to shine a light on that every once in a while and be like, okay, this is stupid. One. But also like this is what's being talked about.
Yeah. And it's not what they say it is. And they're talking about they're using these terms, critical race theory, and they're building it up so that their base or whoever, their religious right or whoever, can be afraid of it like they are, and never even ask what it is.
Right. Right. Well, that does it for our wrap around the news this week. What do you've got coming up? What's going on in Allie land?
You know what? Nothing really ever goes on in
Good
my
for you.
in my world. You know, yeah, I'm kind of like avoiding people, that kind of thing. I think last week we talked about FBB and our Summer of Hunger, where we're is that it? Oh, is that the? Thank you for putting that. So because we do have a campaign going right now, we're trying to raise money to feed the kids that are out of school.
Yes.
And their families, because kids who are out of school, they're no longer, you know, they may not have access to those meals that they were getting when they were going to school. So these kids are out for the summer, and you can easily feed a kid for a day or an entire family for a small amount of money. So please donate. Donate.
Go to the link there at the bottom. FIF.show/FBB will redirect you over to where you need to get to take part in that. We're sort of lucky around here. Our school has taken the what is it? The Department of Agriculture? I don't know, whatever it is.
Did they have that extra money or something?
Yeah. There was some money left over. So like, if your kid went to virtual, was in a virtual setting during the school year, they're sending out EBT cards. It's basically like making up for what your kid would have eaten had they gone to school. So there's some of that stuff going around. It's not hitting all the marks. It's not feeding all the kids, right? It's helpful. But there are definitely gaps to fill and folks that still need to be taken care of here and all over the country. Again, like just from what we've learned going through a pandemic, that showed us how bad the food insecurity problem is to start with, and then was exponentially made worse through a pandemic. And again, like in my super Sarah's futuristic Star Trek world, like nobody would be worrying about where their next meal comes from. We can do that. We can do it now. Like there is enough wealth in the world to solve hunger today if we just did it.
For sure.
Do it. Just do it. So every little bit helps. FIF.show/FBB. Go over there, make a donation. Tell them we sent ya. I don't know if there's a place for you to do that, but
no.
but tell them we sent you anyway.
Yeah. And we appreciate all the donations. So yeah.
Absolutely. Don't forget you can still apply for there are scholarships being offered from the Secular Student Alliance. There's like the one big SSA scholarship, and then there are lots of local organizations that have sponsored scholarships of various sizes. There's like 5 or 6 in Florida, I think. There's a whole bunch here.
Nice.
And you can go to FIF.show/scholarship to apply. Do I have that one? I bet I don't.
Come on,
do I
Sarah.
do? Come on, Sarah. Pull it together. No, I don't. I'll do it next week. I'll have it for you next week. FIF.show/scholarship. To apply, August 31st is the deadline, so get on it. You get a couple months left. And the American Humanist Association is having their conference coming up. And I will be speaking with Tiff Ho from Foundation Beyond Belief. That's in like exactly a month. It is the 24th of July, virtual, so you can go sign up for that. The American Humanist Association. We're going to be talking about. We don't have our time scheduled yet, but we're going to be talking about like humanism. Go out and do things. Like let's put humanism into action, and what does that look like? And because I don't know if you know this, but we were talking about this at dinner. There's secular groups tend to sort of magnet a certain type of people. If you have your group has atheist in the name, then for some reason you get a lot of people who are in the angry atheist phase and going through some stuff, and that's fine. And we want to help them heal and, go and be productive. But that also leads to a lot of like, why are you talking about this social issue all the time? I thought this was an atheist group. All right, listen, if we just sit around and talk about how there's no God all the time, it gets old real fast.
Oh, yeah.
It gets old so fast.
Yeah, that's
and
why
then,
people don't stay in that
No.
phase, because it's
No.
boring. It's boring.
It really is.
Let's move on.
Yeah, it really is. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like, if you put humanist in your group's name, you tend to draw the thinkers, the people that like to sit around and talk philosophy and that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm lost the word that I was looking for. Sorry. But there's a lot of like conversation and thought, and that's great too. But somewhere in there needs to be a let's go do some things to make a difference in the world. And that's where Foundation Beyond Belief comes in. That helps drive a lot of our local groups to go do those things. And are supported by them. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about in our very quick half hour. I don't know how I'm going to do it, Allie. I don't know how I'm going to do 30 minutes. I have to limit myself a lot.
Is somebody going to keep you on track?
Yeah.
Will you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll be good. It'll just be hard. Brevity is not my strength. So that's going on. And then Devin and I are planning a presentation. We're going to go on tour. I have designs already cooking in the hopper for like band tour shirts.
Nice.
We're calling
like the 80s band.
Yes. And I'll have like all the dates and locations and stuff on the back.
That'll be awesome.
So we're calling it the Herding Cats Tour because again, like, trying to get secular people to all like come together on a thing is often hard because we all have different ideas about what the group should be doing and what we should be doing as people and what atheism is and means and blah blah blah. So it's hard to get people together. One of the things that we're working on with the American Atheist pilot program that we did over this past session is a transparency in healthcare legislation that we want to a bill we want to put forward, right? And so the idea is, and we'll do a real deep dive on this one day on the show. But the basic premise is there are a lot of exemptions in law for religious-based medical providers to just not serve you if they don't want to, right? And so that can be like, hey, we don't believe in trans people, so sorry, we're not going to care for you, which of course goes against the Hippocratic Oath and all of those things. Yeah. But like, a commitment to be a healthcare provider should be one to heal people and help people. But so there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of, care providers that don't want to provide certain services based on their religious beliefs. And while the preferable outcome would be, hey, you got into medicine, these are the services that are provided at a hospital, you have to do all the services. We realize that that's, not likely at this point, especially with all those religious exemptions. So at the very least, those organizations should have to make available and make known the services that they refuse to provide, so that if I'm going to seek care, I know not to go there.
Right.
Because of their whatever bigoted views and insurance copays and all of that stuff, right? So that's sort of a real basic outline. There's a lot more that goes into it. Think of things like death with dignity, being able to make your own decisions at end of life care. There are providers who will force you to go through treatments that you don't want to, that you don't consent to at end of life. So that, we believe you should be able to direct your own end of life processes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we're going to be talking about a lot. We'll talk about it here on the show, but we're also we're doing this roadshow tour thing with Herding the Cats. So if you are in part of a group in the state of Florida, and you want us to come talk to your group about that and the other issues that we want to organize around, shoot us an email, info@fif.show, and we'll work on making arrangements to one of us. We're happy to do it virtually. I know a lot of groups are still, doing all their things virtually and Zoom or whatnot. So we're, obviously we're happy to do it that way. But there are some groups that are starting to do things in person again. And, we can talk about what that looks like and get the word out there and get people organized and excited about a thing that's not, oh, here's a shitty bill we want to oppose. Because that's a lot of what we do, right? Like, oh, it's the moment of silence bill. Let's oppose that. Oh, it's an abortion ban. Let's oppose that. This is a good way to put something forward that's a positive bill on an issue that we care about, and get engaged with your legislators and other local organizations or statewide organizations that are interested in the same sorts of things, and build those coalitions and get some things done to, again, what's the point? Make things better for people. All right, that's it. I declare this session of the Freethought in Florida. So hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Allie, as always, thanks for being here. Love chatting with you and getting to hang out.
Absolute pleasure.
And we'll see what's to come in the weeks ahead. But that is it for this week. Freethought in Florida is available on YouTube and Facebook and all the popular podcast players. Facebook, you might have to wait a bit because it's got this stupid thing where it does.
It's got issues.
You can find all the subscribe links at fif.show and learn more about us, the hosts at the fif.show too. Send us an email to info@fif.show, and please like, subscribe, share out the episodes, help us reach a broader audience. And of course, remember the 3 most important things: wash your hands, get your vaccine, and be kind to each other. Be safe, everybody. We'll see you next week on Freethought in Florida.